Hello and welcome. I'm Gargi Rawat and you're watching the Top Story segment on youtube.com/NDTV, and this is the site to go to for all the videos from NDTV. And every day we ask you what are the top stories you want to know more about. We offer you the pick of the stories, the top 5 stories of the day. And today the big story we're expecting a short while from now is for the RBI to announce its monetary policy, and so everyone looking forward to that. A bitter Delhi poll campaign ends today. Finally the campaigning for this election ends today. It's been a very bitterly fought election in which we've seen a lot of hate speech as well, a lot of allegations back and forth, and I think it's a relief for everyone with this election hearing now coming to an end. Delhi goes to the polls on the 8th. In Karnataka, finally, Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa is going to be expanding his cabinet. Remember, this has been something that's been, demanded for a while. Questions have been raised why he's not expanding his cabinet. Well, today he's inducting 13 more ministers into his cabinet, and many of them are going to be the former Congress JDS leaders who defected from the Congress and JDS, bringing down the government at that time. They then joined the BJP. They then fought the bypolls on BJP tickets and won. And now it's been slightly awkward for Yediyurappa, as there's a lot of anger and dissatisfaction over this within the BJP in Karnataka among other leaders, their cadre. They're a little upset that these people who've come from the Congress and JDS are getting so much importance. But it's a balancing act for Yediyurappa, as he has to obviously satisfy whatever was promised to them, or show some gratefulness for them for helping Yediyurappa come to power. The big story from the United States is that, as expected, US President Donald Trump was acquitted in the impeachment trial. That is because they just did not have the numbers in the Senate. The Senate was dominated by Republicans, and they couldn't reach that two-thirds majority that was required. And the White House, of course, quick to say that Donald Trump is vindicated after this acquittal. Now, the other shocking story that came in from Istanbul in Turkey is that a plane on landing during stormy weather actually overshot the runway and broke into 3 pieces, and at least 3 people have died in this terrible accident, in which you actually see the aircraft broken into 3 pieces and people crawling out of the aircraft. So let's talk about the Delhi elections. And remember, the BJP has really been focusing on the Shaheen Bagh protest, the anti-CA protests, and trying to make it as if it's an election between those who support Shaheen Bagh and those who support the others. And Amit Shah also, who's going to be hitting the campaign trail today. In fact, today all 3 parties are going to be there on the campaign trail, but the biggest push is going to be from the BJP. You have a Home Minister Amit Shah who's going to be taking out rallies. You have party president JP Nadda, who's also going to be participating in some road shows. From the Congress, you'll have Deputy Chief Minister of Rajasthan Sachin Pilot taking out a motorcycle rally, and from the Aam Aadmi Party also various small rallies planned. Raghav Chadda is also going to be taking out a road show. And so ahead of the elections, Amit Shah tells the voters of Delhi, choose between ideologies. He says, I know your decision. The results on Friday 11th will shock everyone. So very confident Home Minister Amit Shah, who's saying that in Delhi it's a contest between 2 ideologies, and that the poll results are going to be a shock. Because remember, many people are assuming it's the Aam Aadmi Party that has an edge, given the kind of support they have from the masses in Delhi. But Amit Shah, they're saying that it's going to be a bit of a shock. So we don't know what to expect ahead of those results. Now, security very tight in Delhi ahead of the polling on the 8th, and 42,000 cops have been deployed, and Central Armed Police Forces have been deployed in Delhi ahead of the polling on the 8th. The results will be on the 11th. And as we said, a lot of this election has been dominated by talk of Shaheen Bagh, and not just from the candidates in Delhi, but from across the BJP. And you have Minister Giriraj Singh, who's a repeat offender. He's often said very outrageous things, and now he's just said that Shaheen Bagh is a breeding ground for suicide bombers. So that is his latest allegation in this, the way the BJP has been really gripped by Shaheen Bagh and, hitting out against it. This protest site where women have been sitting for over 50 days now, protesting against the Citizenship Amendment Act. This has caused a lot of disruption in Delhi traffic, because they are blocking one very arterial road between Delhi and Noida. And yes, but feeding off of that anger and, how people are being inconvenienced. The BJP, however, has really turned it into a real contest between ideologies. You're either with Shaheen Bagh, as I said, or you're with us. And now, making all sorts of allegations. Now, Giriraj Singh claiming that suicide bombers are being trained in Shaheen Bagh. And in Parliament yesterday in the Lok Sabha, a young MP from the BJP, Tejaswi Surya, also hit out over the Shaheen Bagh protest, and he spoke in the Lok Sabha. This was on his reply to the president's address, where he actually said that if we don't handle this now, we're actually going to see a return to Mughal rules. He says, Tejaswi Surya, that the majority community has to remain vigilant or Mughal rule will return to the country, as he criticized the protests against the Citizenship Amendment Act at Delhi's Shaheen Bagh. So there you can see again this attacking constantly of Shaheen Bagh. Now, this is what Tejaswi Surya, who is a very young MP from Bengaluru, in fact, is from where he's won his seat, and he hitting out over Shaheen Bagh and saying that we're going to see a return to Mughal rule. Now, the big story, of course, is the RBI, which in a short while from now is going to be announcing its monetary policy decisions. It's the sixth bi-monthly policy statement. And most analysts are expecting that the RBI will hold the interest rates. They're not expecting any kind of cut down. They're expecting holding on to the status quo as far as the key lending rates go, given the high inflation that India is seeing and also the slowing economy. Now, today's statement is especially interesting because it's the first after the presentation of the union budget, in which the government outlined huge packages for farming and infrastructure, but only gave a small cut to personal taxes and provided no new incentives for financial and housing sectors. So given the situation that, we have this economic slowdown in the last quarter, GDP was just 4.5%, a big worry. Inflation in December was 7.35%. That's retail inflation. So with the rising inflation, slowing growth, it is expected the RBI is not going to really change much as far as the interest rates go, but it will be interesting to see if they do spring any surprises. Analysts expect them to hold on to status quo, but you never know, and you could see some sort of a surprise being sprung, because that has happened with this RBI in the past. But as we said, most economists and analysts who've been questioned have said that they're expecting the RBI to keep the repo rate unchanged until at least October. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But the Sensex has risen 200 points and the Nifty has touched 12,150 ahead of the RBI statement. So this is a rally that we're seeing in the stock markets for the third straight day. Remember, the markets crashed after the budget, but over the last couple of days, the last 3 days, we're seeing a bit of a rally. And today as well, ahead of the RBI's policy review, which is going to be announced in a short while from now, the Sensex trading there going up, and the Nifty going up as well. Well, that's all the time I have for you. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.